Hi, and welcome to BremSter Games Puzzles. I'm not sure which channel I'm actually going to post this one onto at this point, but I have had Pictopix recommended to me. Now, I'm recording this without the game music because I felt it would be good to allow, similar to with the Sudoku videos, allow you to listen to your own music of preference while I'm doing these. But these are Picross, or this is a Picross game that was recommended to me. Now, this being the first video I'm doing, I'm actually going to run through the introduction to the puzzle and how it works. Then I will try I've already gone through the 5x5s, and then I'm going to try some of the 10x10 puzzles. So Pictopix is a puzzle game which involves revealing a picture by filling in the squares of a grid. The numbers on the top and the left-hand side of the grid help finding which square should be filled in. You may have remember things like a Japanese sum Sudoku, similar to that. Playing the game is easy. Just click on a square to fill it in. So if you click on a square, you fill it in. So that's how that works. So to empty a square, you just click on it again. So if you're trying to empty a square that's already filled, you can do that. The numbers at the end of the line indicate the number of squares to be filled in the line. So because I need to fill in 5 squares, I click on all 5 and that fills it in. Now, in this new example, fill in 2 adjacent squares, and then before filling in 2 others, leave at least 1 empty square between the 2. So you need to fill in the right squares. So because I need to fill in 2 and then leave a gap and then another 2, it has to be 2 gap and then 2. When the right squares have been filled in a line, it's useful to mark the empty squares by putting an X between them, which you right-click. So with this one, I need to do the correct squares. So it's asked me for 3, then a gap, and then 1. And because it's a simple 5 line, that's quite easy. This one is just the same, but in reverse. 1, a gap, and then 3. Fill in this line, which is 1 gap, and 1, because I must use a gap. Fill in this line, 0 filled in squares, so they've all got to be gaps. Sometimes a set of squares can be put in different places on the line. In this case, you should count the squares to be filled in from one end and then from the other to fill in the squares which are common to both groups. We sometimes use this in sandwich Sudoku. So, for example, you can see that some of these have squares that are filled. 3, whichever way it fills, must fill this square, and the 4 must fill those 2, whichever way it fills. 3 and then 4 the 4 would always gather those. So, for example, on this one, 1, 2, 3, 4 will always gather those 3, whichever end you capture it from. And in this one, you can do similar. 3, 1, 2, 3 will always capture the middle square, whichever way you go from. Now, in this one, 1, gap, 1, 2 will always capture that. Gap 1, 2 will still always capture that 1 square. Okay, so that's the basics of the game. Now, I am playing, whoops, I don't mean to do that. I want to quit out of the tutorial. I find the user interface a little bit weird, but I do want to just play. I'm going to play classic mode, and I'm in 10x10s. So I've not tried a 10x10 yet, so I'm doing this all on screen and to embarrass myself in front of all of you. So with 9 squares, I need to take those 8. There are none of these are filled in. And this is a game that's on Steam, which I will link below, and is actually really cheap. I think it cost me like $5 or $6. And apparently it's got thousands and thousands of puzzles in it. Okay, so I get to this. Don't know which of these is included. Now, I can't pick up any of those because this is only 2 lines of 1. Now, this must be a run of 3. Now, the 3 can't reach that square. This is a run of 1. This is a run of 2. So because it's a run of 2, it can't reach that square or either of those. This is a run of 1. So those are all done. Those are all done. The run of 2 here can't include that square. The run of 3 here can't reach there. These can't be part of the run of 2. That must be the run of 2, which means that's the 4. That can't be part of the run of 2 anymore. The run of 2 goes in here. This is part of the run of 4. So that's the run of 4. Those are not part of the run of 4. That's the run of 4. So those aren't. That's the 2. That's the 2. So those are not included. The 4 can't reach there anymore. The 2 can't be there anymore. So it's absolutely there. Is this going to be an albatross? The 2, not sure. I still need to pick up a 1 here, which that must be the 9. So that's not included. That must be the 2. That's the 2. So those are not included, and that picks that up. It's a musical note. Okay. Now, we've got none of these. Yes, I can just drag with the right mouse button to fill. That's very cool. So I can literally fill very quickly. Okay, that's nice. I don't just need to click. So all of those go away. I need a 4 in here, so those are not included. And in that 4, I must get all of those. The 4 in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, those are all included. I've got my 1 at the top, so that's not included. That must be included in the 2, and those must be included in the 2. The 2 is over here, so none of those are included. That's all of that 2. 1, well, that ends the 1. Then that's the 1, and those, whoops, those are the 2. Not sure about this 2 yet. Possibly I should know. This can't be part of the 2. Those can't be part of the 2. That's part of the 4. So the 4 can't reach there anymore. That's part of the 2. That's part of the 2. That's part of the 2. These are not part of the 2. That's part of the 2. It's going to be a question mark. So those aren't part of the 2. Those aren't part of the 2. The 2, well, I've got 1, 2, 2. So that's not it. That's it. And that completes the question mark. I know I'm not good at this, and many people who've done it, but this is literally, I've done, I think it was 25 by 5 puzzles are the only Picross puzzles that I've ever done before doing this video. So this is a 10 by 10, which is 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a gap, and then 2. And this is going to be the same, 7, gap, 2. Now, not sure about the way the 6 goes, but the 4 can't reach those or those. Oh, I've got all these zeros, which I can just fill in. The 2s here are filled in. The 2s here are filled in. That must be the 2 and the 2. That must be the 6. That must be the 6. I'm tempted to go by what the shape looks like it's going to be. Like those have to be the 2 I pick up, but I'm not going to go by that. So I need 1, 1, and 5. So it must be 1, gap, 1, and then the 5. This is going to be a key, isn't it? So that completes that. Now the 4 can't reach there. There's the 3, so all of those are not included. There's the 5, none of those are included. And then this has to go a 4. That one's done. That has to be a 4, and that completes the key. I don't know how many of these I'm going to do in a video. Now I need to do 8. So all of those must be included because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, no, that's not true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, yes, all of those must be included. Because if 8 from the top would include those, 8 from the bottom must include those. This only includes 1s, and this can't have a 1 before the 2. So that's the 1. 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 This is the 0, and this is a 0. So that was the 8, by the way. Now, the 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it includes all of those. If that's the start of the 5, it includes all of those. And none of those can be included. And the same here. It must include those and none of those because of where the 5 starts. Now, these are 1s and there's a 2 in the middle. These are 1s and there's a 2 in the middle. 2, 2, 2, 2 gap, 2 gap, 2. So this must be 2, 2, and 2, with those being gaps. 1 and then 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are all included. So there's my 1, 2, 1. Those aren't included. There's my 1, 2, 1. Those aren't included. 1, 1. So those are immediately not included. I need another 1 over here. But this is a 6, and that is 6. There's my 2. Those are not included. There's my 2s for those, and that is, I don't know, an exit sign. Yeah, I suppose. Okay, we have zeros, 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 and zeros. We've got ones that have 5 ones, so those must all be filled in. Now, 1 and then 6. Well, that must end there. And this must be part of a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because I've only got 2 connections. So that must be that. 5 and then 3. Now, this is part of a 5, so that must do that. And then I'm not sure where the 3 goes. That must end the 1, and then this must be part of the 6 because they have to connect up. 5, that must be part of the 5. Don't know which way the 3 goes. 1, and then these must be part of the 6. Right. I don't have any 1s down here, so I must put 1s down here, and that makes the 3. Matrix, herbs, sure. There's a 10 row, there's a 10 row, there's a 0 row, there's a 0 row. Now, 3 and 2, I can't start the 3 here. This must be the 3 connected up, because if I started here, then it would automatically run into the 2. So there's the 3. Now, 2, 2, 1, I can't, this must be a gap, because otherwise this would be a 3 and there's no 3. So it's 2 gap, 2 gap, and then there's a 1 in one of those two. Same here, 2 gap, 2 gap. Again, this must be a 2 with a gap, because otherwise they join up and become a 3. So 2 gap, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can't start here because then the 3 wouldn't work. 1, 2, 3, it'd automatically become a 4. So that's a gap, that's the 3, that's a gap. 3, same, that must do that. 4, I'm not sure. 3, that's the same, must do that. 2, I can't, must do the 2 and then a gap, otherwise it's a 3. So we end up with that. Now 2 and 2, so here's the 2 which must stop, and there's a 2 in one of those two. So the 4 is now those 4 with none of those included. There's a 2 in one of those two. This must be part of a 2, so it's that. That can't be part of a 2. This must be part of the 2, because I've got to put 2 into 3. This must be part of a 2, so it can't include that. This must be part of a 2, so it can't include that, because if I did, they'd run into each other. Okay, 3 and 2, well, that's the first one, that's the second one, that completes that and that. That must be part of a 2. Now, I'm tempted to just make the shape symmetrical, but I'm not going to do that. Yeah, this now must be part of a 4, but I'm not sure which way that's going yet. Except this has to be part of a 6. And once I've done the 6, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 with a gap. That does that. 2 and then 5, so that's part of the 5. 2, 2 and 1. Not sure. 3 and 2, well, there's the 2, and that ends that. I need to put a 2 in here, which makes that the 2, and that completes the puzzle. And it is symmetrical, but I just needed to get there. It's an alien. We've got 10s and 10s and 10s and 10s. Now I need a 3 and then a 5. So this has to be part of the 3 with a gap, and then I need 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one must always be included, which is part of a 2. 2 and then stop and then 7, and that is 7 because this is a 10 by 10. 7 and then 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That must be part of the 7. Then there's a gap and a 1 down here. This is the same. There must be a gap. This can't be part of a 2 in the middle here anymore for the row. 2 and then 7. Well, there's the 2, and then I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which completes all of those. Now, this is part of a 3, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. That is always included. And this is part of a 3, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. That is always included. And it can never reach either of those. So those are the ones for the 7, 1. And this must go 2, 4, 2. 1, 2, gap, 1, 2, 3, 4, gap, 1, 2. That row was actually somewhere I could have started. So you look for ones that sum to the total of the row, but I didn't do that. I wasn't that clever. Like I could probably do it here, 2 and then a gap, then I need 4, and then I had 2 gaps, so I didn't do it here. Must start with 3, so 3 and then a gap, then I've got 2 and 1, so that row's complete. 3, yep, then I've got my 2 and my 1, so that's complete. This now must be 3 and 3 for the row. 2, 4, 1, 2 gap, I need 4, which must include that one. So there's my 2, 2, 2 for the row. I need a 1 in here. I need a 2 in here. Again, I'm tempted to, 3 and then 5. So that gets included. There's my 5. So I've got my 2, 2 here now. So the 4 must go up and that completes it. I just need to prove it to myself, not just draw in symmetrical shapes. Because he's happy. Okay. So there's none in here. There's none in here. There's 8 in here, so it must include those 6. There's 8 in here, so it must include those 6. There's 6 in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it must include those 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it must include those 4. And the same here, must include those. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it must include those and those. There's my 2 and my 2. And of course, now I must draw the 2s in the middle. Now, 2, 4, and 2. 1, 2, gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, gap. 1, 2. Those are actually locked. Now, this is part of a 4, which now can't reach that far or that far. This is part of a 4, which can't reach that far or that far. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This goes up and down in each order because of it. So those 2, 2, 2s are complete. 3, 3, 3. Well, that's actually locked in now, as is that 3, 3. 6 and 4. Well, I've got 3, 3, which must go that way and that way. There's the 4s done. There's the 4s done, which locks in the 8s and the 6s, and that completes everything. A coin? Yep. Okay, we have more zeros. We have more zeros. We can lock in, therefore, an 8 and an 8. When I get to the puzzles that are like 25 by 25, this is going to melt my brain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it must include all of those. Must include all of those. This is part of a 4 at the bottom. This is part of a 4 at the bottom. This is part of a 3 at the bottom. I need to do 2 and 2. So we've got a 2 at the top. We've got a 1 at the top. We've got a 1 at the top. We've got a 3 at the top. We've got a 1 at the top. We've got a 1 at the top. We've got a 3 at the top. And we've got a 1 at the top. This row is complete because of the 1 and the 1. Okay, we need to put a 6 in here, which could still go either way. This row is actually complete. We need to put a 3 down here, which can't go in there, so that's part of the 3. So the 6 can't reach that far anymore. We need to put a 3 in here, which can't take those, so that completes the 6s. 1, 1, 4. So there's a 1 in one of those two. I've got to put a 2 in this row, which can only go in those. Got to put a 2 in this row, which can't go there or there. I've got to put I've got 1, 1 in that column, and I've got 1, 1 in that column. So I need to put a 1 in one of those two. This is part of a 2, so that goes there and not there. This is part of a 2, so it's there and not there. That completes both of those. Those now have to be the ones. And we get an hourglass. It's an hourglass. I'm not going to do this for an hour. Maybe half an hour. Okay, we've got zeros and zeros again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So those 4 must be included. Okay, now those 4 must be included. That's part of a 2 and ends. That's part of a 2 and ends. That's part of a 3 and ends. This is part of a 5 and ends. Now it's 3 and then fully stops. It's 2. This is part of a 3, which can't go any lower than that. So those aren't included. This is 2. This is part of a 2, which can't go any lower than that. Okay. Now it's 2 and then 3. So that's the 2 because it has to go that way. And I need to do a 3, which includes both of those. So that's the 2 and the 2. Okay. This is part of a 2, which completes that row. This is part of a 2, so none of those can be included. It couldn't reach that far. This is part of, it can't be 3 and then part of a 2. This is part of the 3, because if I put the 3 up here, then it would auto run into the 2. So this is part of the 3, so it can't include that. Oh, this 4 is complete. So this is the 3. And the 2 must include that to be able to be 2 wide. And that means that's not included because that's the 6. That means this column is completed and this column is completed. I need to put a 2 down here, but this row is completed. So I can't put a 2 into one cell. That's the 2. That's the 3 I'm not sure about. Well, this needs to be the 3, so that completes the 3 there. This needs to be 6. This is the 3. This needs to be 2. And I need to do 1 and 1 that both add to that column. That's very cool. I don't know what that is. Lightning. Very, very frightening. So I might start by posting these to BremSter Games and see whether people think that these are good candidates for BremSter Puzzles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, it leaves 2 at each end. 6 leaves 4 at each end. I can only really pick up those. Because 6 would run me to there, 6 would run me to there. Those 2 must be in the 6, whichever end I start from. Okay. Now, where can we go from here? 2, 5, and 1. 2, gap, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, gap, and 1. This column is completely fixed. And now the 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, can't get that far. And I've got the same here. 2, gap, 5, gap, 1. And now the 6 can't reach that far. In fact, the 10 actually tells me a lot in these 2 columns because that's wrong. This is part of a 2. So none of those can be included, and it's a lone 2. Okay, now these are part of lone 3s that can't touch each other. I'm not sure how to use that yet. Oh, the fact that it fades out rows that are complete, I actually quite like that because I can just mark all of these as done. I don't mind that at all. Now, oh, there's a 4 in the top row, but I've already got 2 rows. So that's the 4. I've got 2 3s in the top row. I'm sure it's going to end up just being that, but I don't want to just assume. I want to solve. Need logical proof. This is part of a 2, so those aren't included. Oh, these aren't included because the ones at the top, 1, 1, 1. Yeah, these are already done. So that is the 3 and that is the 3. I needed to use the ones at the top to prove that. Now, this can't be part of it because I've only got 1s in the column. This can't be part of it. So those are the 2s. They give me the 2s in those columns. The 8 now must go down, completing the 8s. And now that completes the 6s. Garbage can? It's a bin, yeah. That's my solving skills. In the bin. Zeros, zeros, zeros. Okay, so we have that. 1 and then 7. So surely it's 1 gap and then 7. That's just a 1 and a 7. We've got 7 in here, of which I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces. So it must include all of those. That must include all of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can't reach 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can't reach there. 3 can't reach past there. 2 can't reach there or any of those. 3 can't reach any of those. This has to be part of the 2, because otherwise the 1 it has to be to the left of the 2. So if this was the 1, the 2 would have to fit in those 2 squares and it'd become a 3. So this is part of the 2, which can't reach that far. But if it's there, this could be a gap and that could be a 1, or if it's there, it doesn't really tell me that much about what's to the left of it yet. Oh, this is all a 0. Sorry, I missed the 0. That can't be part of a 3. The 3 can't reach that far. This is part of a 3, but I could go 1 gap 3, I think. This is part of a 5. This is part of a 3. This is part of a 2. One gap, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is just forced. So it's 5 gap 1. And there's my 3. Now the 5 is more forced. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That and those are all forced. This is part of the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's the 3 done. The 3 now must pick up that, which that must be the gap, because if I connected it, it'd be a 6 and I'm aiming for a 2 and a 5. So there's the 2, there's the 5. This is now part of the 2 because it's part of the rightmost digit. There's a 1 in one of those 2. This is part of the 3. This is part of a 3, but I'm aiming for a 1 and a 5. I need a 1 in one of those 2, but it can't be there. That can't be the 1. If that was the 1, then I'd need 2 1s. Yeah, this row is complete. So this is the only place for the 1. This is going to be a swan, isn't it? I need a 1 and a 5. I need a 3. I need a 2 here, which is here, which completes that. This now makes this the 3. So there's the 1 gap 5, and that completes it. It's not a swan, it's a cherry. Or a bomb. It's a bomb. They would have been nicer going with cherry, and I think this might be the last one I do for now. We've got zeros here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I leave 2 at each end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I leave 3 at each end. But I've got a 1, a gap, and then 7. And a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's all of those. No, that's wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is actually a gap. 1 and then a gap, 1 and then a gap. There's a 1 in here somewhere. This is part of a 4 and then a gap. This is part of a 1 and then a gap. This is part of a 1 and then a gap. This is part of a 5 and then a gap. Okay. These are parts of 1s because everything in this column are 1s. But I could still put 2 1s up here. The fact that it's fading out numbers, well, it's not actually giving me solid information. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gap 1 is telling me that's a 7, a gap, and a 1. This is part of the first 3 because I can't go 3 gap and run into that one. So it's part of the first 3, so it can't get any further than that. That's a gap. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is now part of the 6, which makes that a gap. This is part of a 2, but I don't know which direction it goes. But it's part of, yeah, it's 1, 2, 1, and this is part of the 2, which can't go further than that. So none of those are included. This row is complete. This row is actually complete now, which is cool. There's the 4. This is part of a 3. Oh, 1 gap, 3 gap, 4. That's the 3, that's the gap, that's the 1. Okay. I need to put another 1 in here. This is part of a 3, surely, because I can't, yeah, this is part of the final 3. So that has to be it, because it's part of a number and I can't go 1 and then put 3 after it. That's part of the 3. That's part of the 1, and then there's a 1 in one of those two. Oh, there's a 9 in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I just leave 1 empty at the end. Don't know which end though, but that 9 should have been huge. And this row starts with a 1. This row starts with a 1. This row starts with a 5. This row starts with a 1. This row starts with a column, sorry. This column starts with a 1. This column starts with a 1. So that locks all of that in. 1 gaps, 1 gaps, 1. 1 gaps, 1 gaps. Oh, hang on. 1, 1, that's the 3. These are parts of 3. Well, this is part of a 3. Neither of them can reach that far. So 1, 1, 1, that's the 1. This is not symmetrical anymore, which is good. This is part of the 1 because it's the final digit. This is part of the 3 is the middle. That's part of the 2. 1, 1, 1, that's not part of it. That's the first 3. 1, 1, 3, that's not part of it. It's 1, 2, 1. So those are the ones. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's the final one. I don't know what that is. It's a truck, garbage truck. It's a dump truck. And I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, I've done 13 of the puzzles, and they're. Oh no, those were the 5x5s. I've done 13 of those, but there's more 10x10s and then 15x15s. And then 20x20s, and it gets bigger and bigger up to 30x40s. So it gets huge, and you can play random puzzles, and there's other modes as well. There's mosaics where you are solving these weird mosaic things, and then there's endless modes where you can generate different puzzles and all sorts of stuff. So I have no idea how much I'm going to spend on time I'm spend doing these, but I'm really enjoying this so far. Let me know whether you think this is a good candidate for BremSter Puzzles, at which point I will just post this video to BremSter Puzzles as well, probably not until I'm back from a break, and let me know whether you want to see more of this. Thank you everyone for watching, and as always, good luck with your solving.